your starting quarterback going forward?
We're not always vital. I mean, those are obvious questions you got to ask. We just finished this game, so we had a lot of confidence in Dez. We can take him out for performance issues. That's why Taylor's here to be able to come in as a backup and give us a shot to win.
So wait, just to be clear, you did not. So none of that had to do with performance in terms of taking him out today.
You guys got the same report I did, right? I'm not a medical expert. There's a reason why I get evaluated. I'm not a doctor. So when you get somebody out, just like Drake, somebody else has to go in there.
Will you evaluate your quarterback situation this week, or is Dez your starter if he's
There's
going to be
nothing.
healthy?
Yes, you can ask me 500 ways. We just finished the game. We got a lot of things we gotta go back and look at. I'm gonna listen to medical experts. See how this week goes.
All right, let's get that little part out of there. So the fuck we want to chop this shit up? How the fuck we're still in first, motherfucker. We're still in first. What's up, Jerry? How the hell are we gonna chop this up? How?
You can't make a
So there we go. Let's get 92 game going. How are we gonna chop it up? What does this mean? What does it mean? We gotta be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. The Atlanta Falcons have a quarterback controversy. We'll talk all about it. But anyways, goddamn, I don't even have the banner or anything going. I just came on here. That's just gonna go to halftime. I just came on here. Because, man, when I tell you a loss like this, you could tell pretty early on this was a game the Atlanta Falcons were not meant to win today. At least by what that first half showed. This was a game the Falcons were not meant to win. We were not able to protect the quarterback to save our life in the first half. We let up 5 sacks. Ridder fumbled. Our defense, we're going to talk about the defense in a second. But, man, honestly, to me, this was a game I think you could see the Falcons kind of were not meant to win. They weren't. You saw, by the way, that DeAndre Hopkins absolutely obliterated. We'll talk about the defense first, then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We'll talk about this defense first. You know, the thing that all season has been consistent for the most part. When the offense has been turning the ball over, has been on the downward spiral, it's always been the defense right there when it matters to keep us in it. Today, the defense had enough with this shit. Enough with it. We're at week 8 now. It's either you motherfucker, and I don't know if that's the case, because one thing I will say, there's a conversation that needs to be had about A.J. Terrell that I really don't have the time to have today, because I really just more so don't feel like talking about it. A.J., I still think, is the best corner on this team, even though Jeff Okudah has had a really great year. A.J. is still the best corner on this team. But this is now really the 3rd straight week he has struggled, but the 2nd straight week in particular, he has gotten beaten. But he got obliterated all game by a 31, 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. He can't keep up with a 31, 32-year-old man. Will Levis, the man who drinks mayonnaise in his coffee, who doesn't even peel off a banana in his first ever start in what the Titans said was going to be a high school style game, through not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 touchdown passes on this defense. 3 out of 4 of them were bombs. 3 of them caught by DeAndre Hopkins. That Nick, whatever that dude's name was, caught the other one that was a bomb. That beat Richie Grant. That is where we are. That was the situation with the defense. They let down. They were not able to stop Derrick Henry. They were worn out, and you could see it. Derrick Henry, even though he didn't break the big one, he was running us down. But this happens to every defense. Every defense. Yeah, and guess what? I don't think they're gonna be too happy about what. Let me go ahead and replay it. Let me go. Well, you know what? No, we'll talk about all that in a second. But the defense is gonna wear down. We said it. We told y'all. I told y'all. Other people have been telling y'all. The defense cannot save your ass each and every week. And eventually they're going to, and honestly today, from the look of it, the defense really gave up at times. The defense, it didn't necessarily look like was all that enthusiastic about winning. The defense had conceded. I'm going to call it for what it is, how I interpreted it. That's what it was. Now, if we do not let up those 4 touchdowns, yes, we do win. But at the end of the day, this defense wore out. They worried big. They let Tennessee score the points. So if we're talking about why we lost this game, yes, it is the defense. They are why we lost. First time all season we're saying it. But guess what? Every defense is going to have a game like this. Every defense. The fact Will Levis came out and 4 touchdown passes, had an amazing game. That I'm used to that. I'm used to that happening, to be honest. Seeing rookie quarterbacks first ever game come and tear up the Falcons. I've seen it. I've seen bums come off the bench. We'll talk about next week as well, but I'll say next week that better not happen. With this news, Kirk Cousins has torn his Achilles, apparently. Better not happen 2 weeks in a row. It better not. So this defense, you got it all out. You got your jitters out. Next week, come back locked in. And I honestly feel like we definitely can. There's also a part of me that's skeptical. But I feel like this defense, if we get back to what we can do, what I know we can do, what we have shown we can do, I'm not too worried about them in the long term. The biggest thing I'm worried about in the defense is they've lost confidence in the offense. It's the biggest thing I'm worried about. Let's talk about this offense now. So, by the way, I hope it is nothing serious for Grady Jarrett. I hope to God it's nothing serious. But you could see, I think another big thing with this defense, honestly, their leader, as much as Calais is respected on that defense, I think he's one of the leaders. Grady has been the glue for years. He is the pillar. And Grady, everyone else in that defense, no matter what level of the defense they are at, feeds off the energy of Grady Jarrett and the leader that he is. However, I hope he is all right. I hope he is. And this defense has to get it together. You better not let a fucking Jaron Hall come out next week and dice your ass up, because then we're going to have some issues. but we all might already have some big issues. Some big issues. Offense. Let me you know what? Let me go ahead and play it again. Let me go ahead and play this shit again. Let's go ahead and do it again.
You're starting quarterback going forward.
We're going to always vital. Those are obvious questions you got to ask. We just finished this game. So we had a lot of confidence in Dez. Take him out for performance issues. That's why Taylor's here to be able to come in as backup and give us a shot to win.
So wait, just to be clear, you did not, so none of that had to do with performance in terms of taking him out today?
You guys got the same performance, right? I'm not a medical expert. There's a reason why I evaluate. I'm not a doctor. So when you give somebody else, just like Drake, somebody else has to go in there.
Will you evaluate your quarterback situation this week, or is Dez your starter if he's
There's
supposed to be
nothing.
healthy?
You guys can ask me 500 ways. We just finished the game. We got a lot of things we gotta go back and look at. I'm gonna listen to the medical experts. See how this week goes.
You're starting quarterback going forward.
Listen to that again. I just got some new thoughts. Listening, because I know Arthur Smith. I know how he rolls with this stuff. It's his third year. I'm used to it. I know how he approaches these situations. Why are we even having this conversation? If you weren't watching the game, Desmond Ridder started out the game 8 for 12, 70 yards. Sacked 5 times. Some of those sacks, yes, definitely on the offensive line. Drew Dahlman, his sorry ass, yeah, I'm ready to say sorry. Because these past few weeks, all I've seen is a sorry ass motherfucker who snaps the ball to the ground. That's all I've seen. Caleb McGarry, that motherfucker, let me tell you something. You can really, all he cares about is that money. That's one of those prime examples. All they care about is the money. He's like, where's the money? Oh, and fuck you. So, why are we even having this conversation? Now, about Desmond Ridder, some of those sacks, because one of those turnovers really was off, that fumble was off of a sack, really, I want to say. Or they got to. Some of them were definitely on him, running into sacks. This was his what today? His 12th career start? Let me tell you something. 12 career starts. You should understand at this point because, yes, as a rookie season is 16, now 17 starts. But I will say this. What I honestly, truly feel is that I truly, honestly feel that, see, talking about this shit, it's kind of, you don't really know how to put it. Did Desmond Ridder play the worst? Not necessarily. This isn't the worst I think we've seen out of Desmond Ridder. It was lackluster, though, a lot of lackluster, a lot of the same things. You can tell that he turned the ball over again. I mean, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. Hold on, Austin. I'll let you up in a second, Austin. You know what? I'll just go ahead and do it now. What's up, girl? You still going to give us Montez Sweat? What's the deal? Oh, yeah. Did y'all see that rumor? Montez Sweat? Yeah, tough loss for you guys. But anyways, let's talk about it. Some of those sacks definitely were on Ridder. He ran into them. He didn't get rid of the ball on time, but some of them he had no damn time to make a decision. This entire offensive line, you can tell, has taken a step back from last year. They're not even run blocking as efficiently. I mean, Tyler Algier getting blown the fuck up on that one play. Jeffrey Simmons took this game over in the first half. He took this game over. We couldn't block him to save our lives. I mean, that's just for an offensive line that is supposed to have set a standard of being a maybe not the best pass blocking O-line, but one that can be respectable, and a run blocking O-line that is supposed to just absolutely run you the fuck over and clear the way for a Tyler Algier, a Bijan Robinson, a CP. I don't understand it, other than the fact that this offensive line has taken a step back. Now to the big thing. Halftime comes around, coming at the second half. Taylor Heineke comes in at quarterback. Initially, we all thought they have pulled the plug. They have said enough is enough. With all the turnovers, with all of the jitters that Desmond Ridder showed, they are ready to see what Taylor Heineke can do. If he can do any better than Desmond Ridder. Then we get the report that Desmond Ridder was getting evaluated for a concussion. Well, here's one thing I'm going to ask. I don't know if a lot of y'all noticed that first drive that apparently he was getting evaluated for a concussion for. He wasn't in no fucking blue tent. He wasn't in the locker room. He had the fucking headpiece on and the clipboard in his hand. So make it make sense. When was he getting evaluated for a concussion? When? Halftime? So they all of a sudden just halftime, they're getting ready to come out for the second half. Hey, Des, you've been getting your fucking. If that was the case, why the hell didn't he get evaluated for a concussion versus Detroit? Why? Why didn't that happen versus Detroit? If he was getting evaluated for a concussion. So you're really telling me they just told him, hey, we got to check you for a concussion. Maybe he says, I feel a little lightheaded. All right, let's just go see what you got going on. Why the hell don't you do that as soon as you go in the locker room? And then, but see, okay, he's cleared for concussion protocol. We hear the news, Heineke's first drive. And then Tennessee comes back, has a pretty extensive drive, goes a few minutes. If any other situation, I'm telling you, that's Matt Ryan, he's going back in. Because we knew Matt Ryan was our guy. Shit, if that was last year, Mariota, he's probably going back in. Why the hell didn't Desmond Ridder go right back in after being evaluated? And I don't want to hear shit about, oh, we're just being precautious with him. We're being this, we're being that. You were down 14-6. Then the argument is, well, we're going to ride the hot hand. We're going to be precautious. You know what that tells me? Based off of Desmond Ridder's production, we have seen up and down. We've seen promise, but I knew something sounded weird because just for reasons. Desmond Ridder had shown upsides the past few weeks, even though he has turned the ball over like a motherfucker. Like he probably would have had 3 turnovers today if he played that second half. But at the end of the day, I'm going to ask this question. If Desmond Ridder was your guy, if you were sold on Desmond Ridder as your starting quarterback, why the hell did he not go back in as soon as he cleared protocol. And I don't want to hear shit about, you have to protect your quarterback for the long term. Awesomeness, are you trying to say something, girl? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Hold on, let me see. Awesomeness, I can't hear you.
All right, let's see here at the red zone. Let's bring in 3 tight ends. You have your second
Drop outing. Are you trying to say something or
as your starting tight end.
whatever? I will say this though. These are questions that have to be asked. If you have confidence in a guy that he is your franchise quarterback for the long term, why doesn't he go back in as soon as he clears concussion protocol? Because he's the quarterback, right? He's the most valuable position, but that's also a quarterback cannot be switched in and out. Okay, you go on the bench, take a breather. No. The only teams that do that are the teams that suck ass. So, but the biggest story obviously was how good Taylor Heineke looked. That was the biggest story. Had nearly 200 yards, touchdown. Every single drive Taylor Heineke led, with the exception of that last one that ended in the drop from Van Jefferson, resulted in points. Something that hadn't happened all day with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, except for the opening drive where he set up in a short field position. Another thing, too. What the fuck is wrong with this punt return shit? Some of this bullshit is just... Now, we know Avery Williams being out is a big... you can feel the effect. You certainly can. But what the hell is some of this decision-making? Punt returning. Setting us up in short field and at the goal line. What is it? It makes no sense and it's stupid. It's flat out stupid, and it shows that special teams really fucked us over in the first half as well. It's not making an excuse for Ridder. They just fucked us over in the first half. They were not playing well. No one was playing well in the first half. The defense, they let up a big play to DeAndre Hopkins. Now, you can argue that first one should have been offensive pass interference, but still nonetheless. The defense was wearing down. The offense couldn't get shit going. I said this a couple weeks ago. I'll stick true to it. I don't think the Falcons necessarily have an identity on offense. They want to be balanced, but they're trying to reach for something that isn't there with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, but somehow was there with Taylor Heineke at quarterback, which is so weird to me. So weird to me that what we had been searching for all season, pulling our hair, wanting from Ridder, wanting to see efficiency in the pass game, all of a sudden was there with Heineke at quarterback. In the second half, he only got he got hit twice, but really, I mean, that second one was called a flag. So you can say he was sacked 7 times. You can say he was hit 7 times. The second one was a flag. But it makes no sense on that end as well. So what that tells me is that this offense worked better with Taylor Heineke. It did. They were making plays. They were getting yards. We were getting back in the game. The defense just let up in the end. They're like, oh, now you need us. Now you need us.
All right, give me an idea what the mindset there. You get the ball back, defense gets you the ball back, and more than enough time to go off.
So it's all that and a lot more leads me to think the Falcons have a quarterback controversy that they're trying to keep under wraps. That a lot of people will deny. A lot of people will say Ridder is still the guy. Believe in Ridder. I was too. Heading into today, I was believing in Ridder, and I still want to. But how can I believe in him when maybe now the team doesn't believe in him? I want to see this guy do well. I do. I want to see this guy pan out into being something we can work with. But right now, after today, how can I? Another thing, too, about that video, I'm not going to play it again, but another thing about that video, Arthur Smith, you could clearly tell when asked that question about, so is Ridder staying the quarterback? He was just trying to shrug it off. That tells me two things about Arthur Smith. A third one, too, but I've honestly known it for a long time. I know Arthur Smith is a stubborn motherfucker, and I don't mind it as much as long as you can win. It really tells me one big thing, that Arthur Smith doesn't believe in Desmond Ridder, but he sold his soul to Arthur Blank on Desmond Ridder. I'm listening to this a second. So when really putting this into perspective, here's what doesn't make sense. The body language and everything tells that the coach isn't even sure about Desmond Ridder. But he's basically made an investment and he doesn't want to look stupid. That, okay, you're going to stay the quarterback just because, not even because, I mean, obviously I think he wants a job, but it ain't like money as a concern to Arthur Smith. The motherfucker's dad is a goddamn corporate billionaire. He could easily fucking, after this shit, if this gig ever ends, and I hope it doesn't, I hope Arthur Smith can figure this shit out, do common sense shit, but we've been thinking this for 3 years. One of the things I've really honestly thought is that, while yes, you're talking, okay, second-year quarterback who's still technically a rookie, you can make the argument, rookie running back, second-year wide receiver who, man, Drake London goes 100% on all those catches. Man, I hope he's all right, too. I really do. But you can tell Draco goes 100%. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Because he is a beast. He is not to be fucked with. He will go 100% on those catches. Kyle Pitts has come into his own. He is being, you see a consistency with getting Kyle Pitts involved. But I'm going to say this. Man, Arthur Smith should have been really taking his bumps as a play caller years 1 and 2. Not year 3, where he seems to be more stubborn than he's ever been with all the talent that he has. And he's shrugging off. I mean, questions like that, it's like where you're just trying to beat around the bush on like, just say yes, Ridder is our quarterback. Say no, Heineke is our quarterback. It's a simple yes, Desmond Ridder is our quarterback. Next question. So, as much as I want to see this thing go well, I do. Trust me. Maybe, for all we know, maybe Arthur Smith thought This will light a fire under Desmond Ridder's ass for all we know. This will be a reality check because I'm telling you that he can say all he wanted wasn't performance-based. He can take that to the fucking his fucking daddy's bank account. Look at how the man have been playing. 7 turnovers in the last 10 quarters. That's almost averaging 1 turnover a quarter. Of course, some of that to not put him back in there was based off his performance he had shown the past few weeks. Of course it was. So, you can say all you want. Arthur Smith is not sold on Desmond Ridder anymore in his mind. But he knows he has to stick with him, at least for this season, because he has signed his name to him. He did do that. So with that being said, next week versus Minnesota, with no Kirk Cousins, who tore his Achilles today, prayers out to him. Kirk, I think if you're talking about who he is, Kirk is a nice guy. I think we can all see that. If you watch the quarterback, you can see Kirk Cousins is a nice guy. And he doesn't deserve it. However, Minnesota, who's their quarterback? Jaren Hall. Do not let Jaren Hall come into here next week and look like a competent quarterback while Desmond Ridder doesn't, turning the ball over. Don't let it happen. Especially after you just had a prime opportunity to roll with Taylor Heineke. He literally played a whole half. You go back to Desmond Ridder. Another thing, too, but with Desmond Ridder, I will say this. This is really for any rookie quarterback. How the coaching does and how it pans out is a big indicator for how a young quarterback will turn out, how they will develop. You see, a guy like Taylor Heineke, who had been around the league for years, who had been shrugged off, wasn't believed in, he knew how to operate this thing. Taylor Heineke is one of those guys who really had to learn on his own. He was thrusted in Washington every single season. This girl will tell you. I know she's doing whatever right now. But Taylor Heineke, right, awesomeness. Wasn't Taylor Heineke thrusted in every season? He did not start week 1 a single season in Washington. She's eating right now. But as I said, they've been talking another thing too. I'll get to the news that came out pre-game. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to continue to talk about. A lot of stuff to think about. Conversations to be had, uncomfortable ones. As Wolf likes to say. Shout out to Wolf, man. Man, shout out to Wolf. But what I will say is that Desmond Ridder, next week, the pressure is on him. But who the pressure is on the most is Arthur Smith. Because if Desmond Ridder next week versus Minnesota, if he ends up costing us the game, he can play bad and we still win. It'll be one thing because we won. But if he ends up playing bad and costing us this game next week, there's going to be some hell to experience, not just for him, but for Arthur Smith as well. So with that being said, I'm going to get ready to get out of here because, man, this has been a long-ass day. it's been such a whirlwind, you know. From what I saw today, I'm going to give my opinion. I want to see Desmond Ridder do well. I do. And if we're going to roll with him, I still do. I still want to see Ridder be the guy. Or at least pan out to be the guy. But as these weeks go on and as the situation continues to develop, it's becoming less and less likely he might. But we also now have to start having the conversation about Taylor Heineke because of how he looked. He looked, I mean, Arthur Smith, and I don't know if he changed anything. It sure as hell looked like he did because of how the offense was moving. But I don't know if he really changed much of anything. Might just be Taylor Heineke is a better fit than Desmond Ridder. He might not know how to adapt to a guy like Ridder. He might not. But with that being said, this week there's a lot of thinking to do. But next week versus Minnesota has to be a win. Has to. Will it be the win? It damn sure better be. Because if it ain't, we'll be here next Sunday. And we'll be having some tough conversations for everyone, I think, is the thing. However, with that being said, I'm going to talk real quick about Montez Sweat, the rumor that we offered a third. Listen, Washington lost today. They probably will be sellers. Am I right, Awesomeness? Will Washington be sellers at the deadline? Are they going to trade away Montez Sweat? Bless her heart, man. She's just trying to eat. Look at me. That being said, if we were to add Montez Sweat, great. He can get home to the quarterback. However, I think we see that on this defense, the leader is Grady Jarrett. The defense clearly needs to be fixed. The secondary shit, it can't happen again. Now, if you can get a guy who can get to the quarterback, yes, that could be a great element to add to your defense. That could perhaps maybe complete this defense if this defense can come together and bounce back and reach their full potential. But this offense still has its issues. They still have issues in terms of the offensive line. They still have issues in terms of calling the plays. They still have issues in terms of execution from the quarterback, receivers, Bijan. Bijan made some, and I love Bijan. I want to see Bijan do well. But Bijan's having those learning experiences right now. That's what he's having. But you can't be making those mistakes in the long term. The offensive line, I don't even really know what to say about them. I really don't. Especially the fucking center and right tackle. I really don't know what to say. But all I know is if Desmond Ridder starts next week, I want to see him do well. I do. I still want to see Desmond Ridder do well as long as he's the quarterback of this team. I want Desmond Ridder to pan out. However, from what I saw in the second half today, and the rhetoric that has been spread, I'm starting to ask the question, is this guy the solution in the long term? Is this guy the answer? Now, who would be the answer in that case? Well, I don't know. That is honestly why I say they will probably end up sticking with Desmond Ridder the rest of this season. Or they're going to push off as long as they possibly can to put Heineke in there. We're already seeing it. However, the shit's got to get fixed one way or another. Anyways, Awesomeness, you still there?
RSV is showing up in a big way. Symptoms are often like a regular cold, but it can be worse. Much worse.
No, I think she's just fucking with me.
And great news, if in-person care is needed for you or your little one, our doctors and pediatricians come
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to get out of here, watch the rest of these games. And next week versus Minnesota, must win. Must win. That being said, I'll see you guys later this week. Picks, preview, and predictions. And we might even be doing a few other things. This might be the week that you see me really go hard each and every day. You might see a lot more than just the regular 2 things I do, picks and the preview and predictions. But obviously I will be here next Sunday. Talk about what happened versus the Vikings. Hopefully talking about a win over anything else. Hopefully talking about Desmond Ridder did good. But man, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'm out.